Hello, my name is William, the Avid reader, and today I'm reviewing Fight Club, written by Palahniuk in 1996. So this is a famous cult classic for some people for some reason, and it's about an insomniac who goes to support groups, which helps him eventually, but later on doesn't really work, so he starts going to something called Fight Club with his friend Tyler Durden, which is the ringleader. So, before I continue, there will be spoilers in this review. It starts out with the narrator, and you never learn what the narrator is called. He has insomnia, he can't really sleep at night, he doesn't really know if he slept or not, but he feels tired. But his doctor suggests him, I think, to go to these support groups. So he goes to cancer groups and things like that, and meets people. And he starts talking about the problem, and it helps. But then he meets Maura Singer, who, as him, doesn't really have a disease. And that ruins it for him, so he meets her and they try to make a deal how they can go to these things separately. He then meets Tyler Durden. His condo has exploded when he's been on a plane for some reason. So he gets to sleep at Tyler Durden's place. And also, he sees that Maura Singer is there for some reason. Tyler and Maura avoid each other, but they're kind of sort in a relationship when the narrator isn't there, so it's somewhere the love triangle there. Tyler Durden also introduces the narrator to this fight club, so one time after they're drunk, he says, "You hit me as hard as you can." And they have a fight out. Then they start going to this fight club things. And there are a bunch of rules there, so for example, one fight at a time, you take your shirt and your shoes off, you get out until one gives up or passes out. So people get beat up pretty bad, they lose teeth, they're punched out, caved in kind of. There starts being a hole in the narrator's face or something like that. He starts talking back to his boss, Tyler Durden. He was working the night shift at the different places, and he talks about how he's doing some bunch of kind of illegal stuff, sabotaging. So for example, he's a waiter someplace, so he's farted on the cakes there or something like that, and then when he's splicing the films at the cinema, he's putting in stuff that he's not supposed to put in, and he's trying to blackmail people. And there's this thing where they're making soap for some reason. And then the narrator says that Fight Club is boring him, so they begin Project Mayhem, which is basically an anarchist, nihilist thing. They're like hitting rock bottom. Life doesn't really matter, it's meaningless. Let's try to pretty much get ourselves killed and do illegal stuff like going up to people, getting them worked up to hit your breaking stuff. There's this talk about napalm and making explosives that Tyler is doing. And then eventually you got Big Bob, who's a friend from these support groups that the narrator has come to. He eventually gets killed by the cops. So this makes the narrator question if he should still be active in this. But Tyler is trying to prevent him, and eventually we actually learn, and this is the biggest plot twist, Tyler Durden is an alternative personality of the narrator. So the narrator is awake during the day, and then at night Tyler Durden takes over. So that's why he's always sleepy. And since he's working all day, kind of, that's why he has insomnia. And Maura Singer isn't really able to tell the difference between the two, and she doesn't really know about Fight Club. And the narrator is trying to stop this Project Mayhem. Tyler Durden is working on his explosives to explode some building and kill himself along with the narrator. He puts a gun to the narrator's cheek, kind of, even if it looks like some suicide. And they're going to a building to do some explosive stuff. Before that, the narrator has come to a meeting, a support group meeting with Maura Singer, and they have an argument. And they go to the top of the building. The support group follow him or them thing. And a support group tries to stop him from committing suicide. Tyler Durden's personality disappears for some reason, and then basically the narrator kills himself. And yeah, it's a weird book, and you've had these space monkeys during Project Mayhem they talk about, and then while the narrator is trying to stop all of this, Tyler Durden is getting the space monkeys to prevent the narrator from stopping all of this. And in the Project Mayhem, you have also these rules like no questions, no excuses, no lies, and there's a cult of Tyler where you have to trust him, and yeah, that's basically the book, ending with a suicide showdown on top of a building. So, how would I rate Fight Club? I would say 7 out of 10. So it's well written, you can read this easily read it, it's easy on the eyes, but there's not really any structure. You just have one thing happening after another. And there's not really any logic behind them. I'm not sure if there's a chronology in it or not. It's a little confusing, so yeah, and it's so nihilistic, this book, and anarchic, that it makes me uncomfortable reading about these things, and they really hate society for some reason and consumerism, and they have no respect for property rights or individuals. So yeah, how it's written, it kind of makes you think until the end that this book is in favor of this anti-consumerist nihilist agenda. So yeah, it maybe shows the story into positive of a light when it should be showing at least even clues that this is what they're doing is screwed up. So yeah, 7 out of 10. So it's a decent book and you can read it, but this book also has been misinterpreted by others to start doing some horrible stuff, so it should have been better written, I believe. This was the Avid Reader's review of Fight Club, written by Palahniuk in 1996. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys next time.